I really enjoy playing Marrakesh, despite its glaring flaws. Now, obviously this map doesn't belong next to the best of the best, but I believe it still deserves recognition, because there is good hidden under the crowded markets and riots of Morocco. So let's start with the stakes. Your targets, Klaus Strandberg, a banker, and Reza Zaidan, rebel military general, are planning to take over Marrakesh. Strandberg has stolen millions of dollars from the people of Marrakesh and was arrested, but on his way to court, he was blasted out by Zaidan's military. This caused nationwide riots by the furious people of Morocco, who are now congregating before the Swedish consulate, where Strandberg is hiding. Zaidan plans to use these riots to depict the government as weak and take over. Your task is to stop the coup by eliminating these two. So you can see how serious the situation is. The stakes are as high as they can get, and the atmosphere inside the level itself perfectly mirrors this, in my opinion. Marrakesh is a very loud environment. Constant chanting by the rioters, or national music playing, or the sounds of a shisha bar, or shopkeepers inviting you to take a look. Just listen. This map has the most NPCs in Hitman 1, even surpassing the numbers of Sapienza. I really like walking through the street of Marrakesh. However, this is simultaneously also the map's biggest fault: quantity over quality. The central market square and the surrounding streets take up 80% of the level, and keep in mind, Marrakesh is huge, with this 80% having very little to actually offer. You have around 3 shops for sniping from rooftops and the shisha bar, which is the centerpiece of the side mission, but is otherwise unimportant here. And this wouldn't be a bad thing in itself, but the map is just so poorly connected that you are forced to walk through every time if you don't have one of the 2 or 3 disguises that lead you into Reza's compound. That place has its problems too, but I'll get to that as well. Marrakesh is separated into 3 sections: the markets, Zaidan's abandoned school that he converted into his base of operations, and the Swedish consulate that Strandberg resides in, with a crowd of angry protesters hanging outside, demanding that he is brought to justice. The issue with both the consulate and the school is how limited access to them are. Every street leading to the school is guarded by soldiers, which is understandable given the situation, but if they would put a little watering point somewhere that would let you bypass at least one of these locations, the flow of Marrakesh would be much better. And the school itself is not much better either. If you don't plan to steal a soldier disguise, then you can really only enter on the right side through the alleyway. And even if you are inside the school, the security is as tight as it gets, leaving you with very few options. You're gonna hear that a lot throughout the video. If you enjoy tight stealth, navigating through corridors, narrowly avoiding detection, then you'll enjoy Marrakesh as a whole. But I like it more when there's a bit more freedom in your actions. Even if that's true though, the school is still a very boring location, because every room looks and feels the same, the entire compound uses the same color palette, and it's clearly unfinished, since there's a climbing spot in Cinder's office that doesn't even lead anywhere, as well as stuff like the backyard having zero use. I think that the school overall is one of the weaker parts of Marrakesh and the entirety of Hitman 1 as a whole, and it could have been much better with just a little more time in the oven. High security locations can be insanely fun, like New York, for example. Now let's take a look at the Swedish consulate. I really like the consulate. It's a really serene and calm environment at first glance, with white colors, calm music in the background and such, but after listening in conversations and looking out the window, the situation becomes 1,000 times more grim. Navigating the consulate is also pretty good. Stealthing around it is fun, even though it's still pretty difficult. The rooms and corridors are better built for sneaking around in a school because you have much more cover and the rooms are a bit more open, so you can navigate the most parts of the consulate. The problem is that again, if you don't want to wear a disguise, you are pretty much screwed. Your only option is to sneak in through the fire exit through a garage. That's it, one option. Once you're inside the consulate itself, it's a bit better, but getting in is such a slog because the garage itself is also, you guessed it, severely limited. I guess this fits with the theme of Marrakesh, at least. One more thing I find strange in the consulate is that there's a double staircase leading to the second floor with 2 officers standing guard that are both enforcers for the consulate guard outfit for some reason. Just why? And if you're wearing a janitor's or other civilian disguise, you need to be frisked when going up, which is better. I think an alternate solution would be to give the player a choice. One staircase would be an enforcer for the security disguise, but to go up the other, you would have to pass a special frisk that only allows a loud sidearm to be carried up, thus creating a unique challenge for the player. Or maybe place a distraction nearby that is illegal to use, so that the player would have to carefully get the card away from the stairs. In the current situation, your only option is to use the back staircase, which is just frustrating and again only a single option. Marrakesh also only has one camera box, and that one box is in the consulate, which I find rather strange, because next to it is a literal military compound. Wouldn't it make much more sense to place the camera center there, or in a secret tunnel? Sapienza has 4 camera stations, spread out all around the map. The school also has no cameras whatsoever. What kind of military is this? Under the consulate is a garage, leading to a secret tunnel, which is there in case of an emergency. The tunnel connects the garage and the shoe shop near the school, and taken over by the military. If you trigger a lockdown with a fire alarm or by non-lethally shooting Strandberg, he will be evacuated through the tunnels and led to the school's yard, where he will be assigned a guard and then chill out. Outside of that, the tunnel can be used to arrange meetings between the 2 targets by sneaking into their office and spending a special code word to the other target's assistant. The tunnel adds a much needed bit of connectivity, but there is still little reason to use it, because its tight corridors make it easy to get caught, and you're most likely better off jogging through the streets. Making the tunnel connect to school and consulate would have been much better, because players that have a higher tier disguise or those that feel confident in their stealth skills could cut some time off from the street jogging, which again would give players a meaningful choice, making gameplay much more fresh. Now let's talk about our scummy duo, Strandberg and Zaydan. I think Strandberg is an above average target. He does not reach the heights of Silvio and Dahlia, but you can still play around him pretty well. He will be roaming most of the consulate's second floor, where he is isolated in quite a lot of places, so a lethal syringe can be very useful here. He can also be electrocuted by messing with the lights so that the railing becomes electrified. In his room, he's mostly alone, with a guard that is patrolling in and out of his office, so you can definitely kill him there if your timing is correct. You can also poison him there. If you pull a fire alarm or shoot him, you trigger an evacuation, where he'll be escorted to the school. This opens up new kills, like luring him to an alley, causing a gas leak, or blowing him up in an APC, or yet again poisoning him. Strandberg looks very kind from the outside, But from listening to his dialogues and completing a particular mission story, you realize how much of a piece of shit he is. So killing him always was really satisfying. Zaydan is equally as evil as his partner, so much so that after Strandberg is evacuated, he planned to poison him. You can find a vial in his office. I think that Zaydan is a bit weaker than Strandberg, mostly because he has one interesting kill, but he backs it up by being difficult, while still presenting an acceptable amount of opportunities. You can poison him, snipe him, and lure him into a couple of places, but that's about it. He cannot be evacuated, so he just doesn't have the depth of the banker. I think a potential solution could be to have him roam on the streets, maybe implementing the shisha bar and surrounding shops like the bonus mission A House Built on Sand did. Because as it stands now, we have 2 dweller targets, which leads to the extended choking I already talked about. I don't have much to say about the mission stories of Marrakesh. All of them take a long time to execute because you either escort someone or wait for someone to go to the meeting place. None of them are particularly interesting either, since 2 of them are basically the exact same, and those that lead to kills aren't even funny or interesting. However, what I found great is that through them, you could really see how evil Strandberg is. Just listen.
Let me get this straight, Mr. Strandberg. You are openly admitting to taking this money, the $7 billion from the Moroccan people?
Why not? An opportunity presented itself, and I seized it. Again, all within the confines of the law. So, what should I apologize for? Being a capitalist? Perhaps the term has fallen out of favor with your middle-class viewers, Miss Kingsley, but me? I bear that brand proudly. Capital C.
Strandberg, hundreds are gathered outside this very building, howling for your blood. Is there anything you wish to say to them?
2 little words. Fuck you.
Pam, we need to call it a wrap.
There are some that are fine, like the one where you dress up as a masseur or the APC turret kill, but those are the only ones that stand out for me, and even those aren't too outstanding. I think the theme for Marrakesh is one of the best parts of it. I mean, stopping 2 evil people from taking over an entire country is a pretty sick idea. However, even if all locations look great, I think Marrakesh still falls pretty short. I don't really like the lighting, and aside from the consulate, every single location uses the exact same color palette. That's really all I have to say about it. Marrakesh is a double-edged blade when talking about replayability. For one, the targets can be dealt with in quite a lot of ways. The problem comes from getting to them. Like I mentioned, if you aren't insanely creative, you really only have one way to enter both the school and the consulate, and that really drags the map down. Going through the crowds can also get really tedious really fast. So I would recommend just making a save once you enter the consulate and playing from there. I promise it will be a lot more fun. Sasso is a big difficulty step up from Paris and Sapienza. The map is much more hostile, with both the garage and school being hostile areas, and the double fortress design makes it so that you're gonna have to be a lot more careful. But once you figure out a consistent route through the garage, it's not that bad, and this is where the map can truly shine. Because while the school isn't too accessible, with some finesse you can still navigate through and find openings. The consulate is much more manageable, and you can even get creative with your kills, so overall, pretty good. I think that Marrakesh is a pretty mediocre map. It has some clear strengths, like its targets, but also a few very glaring weaknesses, like its overall layout and level design, especially with those entrances. I think you can have a lot of fun with this map, but you're gonna have to try pretty hard because it's difficult, And also be prepared to see 47 running a lot. I think the bonus vision really elevates a lot of the strengths of Marrakesh and uses the parts of the map that aren't in the base mission. So definitely give that one a go if you haven't. Anyway, I think that's gonna be all for today. Next up, we're gonna be traveling to Bangkok. Spoilers, I hate Bangkok. I'll see you next time.